Rudy Reeser, reporting from Nukhalk Reserve at Balakula. The Oolichan Conference has just concluded with a declaration that the nations on the coast of British Columbia will take the initiative to restore the Oolichan to the rivers all up and down the coast by virtue of an international agreement between them. The conference included representatives from 8 different nations, led by the Nukhalk and including the Wikinu. The importance of this story is that the Oolichan was finally recognized as a keystone species at the bottom of the food chain, so important not only to the nations along the coast for their nutrition and their health, but important to the cultures throughout the region.
And our consumption of the ooligan grease has been very minimal because we've been relying on other First Nations that do have some ooligans left. Make people aware of the loss that we suffer from the ooligans been lost. I mean, not coming back because of the illness that's been, all the sickness that we've been facing since the ooligans have gone. The diabetes has really become prominent. Cancer has become prominent in the past 14 years that our ooligans have been gone. And our consumption of the ooligan grease has been very minimal because we've been relying on other First Nations that do have some ooligans left.
On the first day of the Eulachon Gathering at Balakula, elders were asked to speak and remember how life was when the Oolichan ran up their rivers.
Long ago, before my time too, and then the smart people long ago, and took live oligans from Chillingham. I don't know how many canoes to use, and they took them here, and that's how we got our oligans, long ago.
Chief Spencer Siwalis rose to the position of Chief in Council in the spring of 2007. He explains how the Oolichan crisis became important to him.
Well, the wheels had been set in motion before I got in. I just stepped into the role and continued on what had started before me. But it's an important issue to me. So I left home about the same time the ooligans disappeared, and it didn't really sink in until I came home. And during the ooligan season, there were no ooligans, and that just really hit home for me. And it's so important to me and my people that I will do anything to make it come back to us again.
The importance of Oolichan to your people is cultural, but it's also nutrition, it's also economy, it's so many other things. Would you describe all of the sort of attributes of what you consider to be the importance of Oolichan to your people?
Well, it's central to our entire existence when you stop and think about it. Like you mentioned economy, yes, that's important, but I think the core value of it is the health of our people, and not just physical health, but mental and cultural health as well. Like the ooligan grease, they've done nutritional studies on it, and it's just an incredible oil in terms of what it can do, what it can heal, and how it can help our people.
Oolichan grease contains significant levels of essential fatty acids critical to eye, brain, heart, and kidney health. Researchers at the University of British Columbia were surprised to learn that when Oolichan grease is properly rendered in the traditional way, the levels of essential fatty acids beneficial to a healthy heart and the brain increase 1,500 times. Native researchers are exploring Oolichan grease benefits for the prevention and treatment of diabetes, heart disease, and arthritis. According to the Nukhalk Fisheries Department, there are several possible reasons for the Oolichan decline: overfishing of depleted Oolichan populations, land and water management problems caused by dredging, dikes, dams, pollution, logging, and other habitat destructions, climate change in both freshwater and marine waters, where water temperatures change at times when the Oolichan return, Ooligan require a specific temperature range to run. Increases in seal, dolphin, and hake consumption of ooligan, and finally offshore trawling and ooligan bycatches. The annual ooligan harvest plays a major part in the cultural and social life of coastal nations.
Just the preparation of the grease and the families working together to collect the ooligans to make the grease. It's just a huge event every year that doesn't happen anymore.
You have some grease houses down on the river. They're unoccupied and unused. When was the last time they were used?
I think my family, last time we made grease was in 1995. And the year after that, my father lent it to the House of Smayusta to make some grease for the elders and so on. And I think that was the last year my family's grease pit was used.
So it's half a generation now that grease has not been available here, at least from this river. Is that right?
Yeah.
And did you notice, or do you notice, that this is equally true for other First Nations in the area?
Yeah, the Wickenow Nation, they haven't had ooligans for longer than we haven't. I think it's been 14 years for them. It's 11 for us.
Most ooligan rivers have suffered decline since the mid-1990s, and some of the smaller rivers have suffered complete collapses. Ooligan are no longer harvested in many areas because of these declines. One by one, elders were asked to speak about their hopes and their fears for the future of the Oolichan. Young scientists from the Inuktitut and other nations provided detailed information about the current status of this rapidly declining fish. Teresa Ryan, a native doctoral candidate studying at the University of British Columbia, gave a detailed presentation on the cultural, economic, political, and spiritual importance of the Oolichan to the nations along the Pacific coast.
Resource users. I'll start my presentation with a slide.
I want to share the experience that I had as a small boy in kindergarten.
The well-organized gathering shifted from remembering the cultural and personal experiences with the Oolichan to development of an action plan to restore this important fish to coastal rivers.
As a little boy, I used to run a stick on every cooking and take that foam off the top of the cooking. It was like candy to us.
A volunteer group of elders, political leaders, scientists, communication specialists, and internation advisors was formed as a core committee to facilitate implementation of the action plan. Follow-up actions include biological research needs, documenting the social and cultural impact of the crisis, publicizing and politicizing the crisis, exploring legal dimensions, reintroducing and enhancing the Oolichan runs, and internation collaboration and leadership on the crisis. At the end of the gathering, Chief Cy Wallace intoned optimistic expectations.
Well, I expect all the hooligan nations of the coast to come together and help publicize this problem before it's too late for all the rivers on the coast. There's still hooligans in some places, but they're in decline there as well. And I think if we all stand together with one solid voice, and out of this conference is the first stepping stone to that, and as the Kitimat chief mentioned, they want to host a conference next, and so we've started the ball rolling now, and I think if we can perpetuate the actions that result from this and actually follow through with what we say we're going to do, it'll be a powerful force on the coast.
And how do you feel about the possibility of being able to carry things through now?
I think it's possible. I think we just have to take the leading role. We've been sitting back too much as a people and waiting for things to get done for us and relying on the government to take care of us, but it's been demonstrated time and time again the government isn't taking care of us as they say they're supposed to, so it's up to us to take our own leadership roles back, as we are a sovereign people. We are indigenous nations within what they call Canada. We haven't signed any treaties yet. We're still sovereign.
Do you expect the government of Canada to be an aid or an obstacle in the achievement of your goal in the crisis of the Oolichan?
I think if we play our cards properly, we can make them help us, even if they don't want to. There are certain pressures that can be applied in certain places, and hopefully that will trigger some actions that in the long run can help us out. And like in terms of funding for research and that sort of thing, we need to find out what's happening to the ooligan and why. I was speaking with DFO earlier, and they were saying, well, we don't shrimp trawl anymore when there's ooligans in the water. And I asked them, well, how do you know there's no ooligans in the water? And they had no response.
Seaslush, or as he is known by his English name, Frank Johnson, of the Wikinu Nation, served as the gathering spokesman.
Welcome, and Geisla was here, and Jawadinuk, Wikinuk, which is my nation. Yep.
Of course.
Yeah.
So when you were beginning this conference, what were your expectations for this conference?
I was kind of hoping to get direction from the nations on how we should go about to bring back our ooligans and stop the decimation of the ooligans so that they don't become extinct. And that's what we hope to have happen here.